In fact, me and Ty, when we finally did start going out bombing together, we would set these numbers up. We would be like, 100 tags, 25 throw-ups, 300 stickers, and a piece. Or a blockbuster, or whatever. And we would try to do that in a day, and so we would like...
Say it again, 100 tags?
It would be something like, it'd be like 100 tags, 20, 30 throwies. Ooh. What did I say? How many slaps? Several hundred slaps, and at least a piece, or a block. And we'd be like, oh, let's get roofs,
7 days a week.
Roughly. I mean, that's how John was. He was out 7 days a week. And, I was just kind of like, okay, I'm going to try to match this kid's energy. I loved him. He was Asian. He saw me as an Asian person. We linked on that level. I loved going, like, we would go bombing on these long benders too, 2-3 day benders, and he would take us to these, like, he always knew like a spot, like 4 a.m, he'd know some cuddy little Vietnamese spot that was open that would feed us. He had friends everywhere we would go. And I remember so many times he would bring me just to these back alleys, back door, and boom, we're in this little Asian restaurant. And we would get like free food and just enough to like get us back out there. He would also stash paint everywhere. We would just like, he would have these spots where he just buried a bag of chromes, you know what I mean? And like, I'd be running out of paint. He'd be like, no, I got you. It's like over here off Deviz on behind this place. I buried a bag of cans. And that the output those guys had, man, that
well,
really
he was like
hyped.
Also like technically unhoused, right?
For a time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was like crashing in bandos, and
he slept on my floor many nights.
Mm-hmm. How did you guys first meet?
Oh man,
sorry to follow. Was he like a runaway, or was his parents weren't having it, or he was just
I think he had a very loving family, actually.
He was just like, I want to be outside.
Yeah. He wanted to be outside. And I don't think he had the, he was so young. I don't think he had any skills yet to like hold down a job, make money.
He wasn't dropped out of school?
Good question. I don't know. I think that would make sense.
Yeah.
Because he died at 18 and we were bombing when he was 16, 17. So he must have been dropping out. But we actually had been side busting each other for quite a while.
Well, he's also from the South Bay too.
Exactly. Yeah, we had that connection.
From Santa Clara.
Santa Clara. Was it Santa Clara County?
I think it's Santa Clara.
Okay. We definitely we met on that level. But we'd been side busting each other for quite a while. And this is before he was like put down in THR. And I just thought it was a mess. I was like, this is just a mess. What is this? I also was trying to define my style to be more legible, and he didn't give a fuck about that. He was doing these weird tags with all these little doodads on them, you know what I mean? They're classic now. But we definitely had static, and the first time I met him, we definitely did not get along. And but then, I think we had a conversation about the South Bay, about being Asian, about our love for the game. And we went bus hopping one of the very first times we went out. And we went racking one of the very first times we were kicking it. And he was just a beast with the rack, bro. Like, I never actually really... Okay, I've seen some people use bags before, but not the way he did, I'd never seen anybody just, like, shovel in everything off a shelf. It didn't matter if it was an art supply. He would just shovel everything into a duffel and walk, And I think that he was just selling it, whatever it was. He would steal food. He would steal everything, And, I guess we kind of all did. We were racking everything then. But it took us a minute at first to kind of get past the static, and then... yeah, man, it was all love. It was all love and admiration, And it was his pace, bro. Like, I think I've told this story before, too. We painted this building right off Division. It was like 5 fire escapes. I have a flick of it that we're going to show right now. And homeboy, I went to the top because I was just a little older than him, and it was actually my spot. And I did a silver ATOM on the very top window, a fire escape, and dude did all 4 flights below me in the same time it took me to do my one. And we kind of didn't have an agreement that I was going to get more than one level, but I had thought I was going to get at least a couple of those levels, but he did them all. Damn. And that was his vibe. That was his vibe. For every one thing that I could do, he would do 4 or 5. You know what I mean? And it was beautiful. It was an inspiration. He still inspires me to this day. Got the marking right there. You know what I mean?
Dope.
There it is. There it is for the camera. I love that guy.
Yeah, I've talked about him quite a lot on this podcast and really tried to study the history of it. This is another thing, I want to really, when we talked about preserving the story, because to me, every time I think about his death, it still disturbs me to this day. I mean, from the time I heard about it when I was young and first discovered Ty to now, the circumstances of an unarmed 18-year-old being shot in the back of the head, by someone over tagging their property.
Yeah, especially like a trained killer. You know what I mean?
Soldier.
It's like, man, I'm like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what happened that night. I don't know. But what I do know is that John was not a threatening person. Right. And I can just see him being like, I'm so fucking sorry. I'm out of here, turning around, being on the fire escape, and then getting shot. Like,
and just the fact that the city and the district attorney's office didn't press charges, they didn't really look into it. I don't even think they arrested William Porter.
No, I don't think so. I think he may have been detained. I think he may have been detained for questioning. Yeah. That's like, I mean, that's the same story everywhere, right? It's like a white man with a gun kills a young person of color, and who's going to say anything? You know what I mean? That really opened my eyes actually to that disparity, or to that challenge in our society. I knew that challenge was there already, and but having your friend get killed in that way, very disturbing.
And just immigrant family, limited access, limited resources.
Yeah, no resources at all, right?
And then even his friends, the graffiti community, it's like, a bunch of like punks and taggers.
Yeah, and that's how the city saw us at the time, like complete degenerates. And I get it. If I wasn't within the culture and I saw what we were doing to the city, I get it, but it would have been nice for the city to have a little bit of foresight.
You can't just shoot people in the back of the head.
Nah, or can you? Motherfuckers can't. You know what I mean? Like, it's really what's really sad, right? Is that how much has changed today, right? You know what I mean? It's like we're still dealing with the same exact bullshit today. Yeah, and it's truly disturbing. But
I would love to one day like be part of like a whole documentary about this or something, just because I think there's a lot to be learned about it.
I appreciate how much you have actually kind of highlighted him. I've seen a couple different interviews where he gets some shine. I think it's great. I appreciate how much the city seems to actually have kind of embraced him in a way. Like, I just saw this Ty Forever mural over there off Van Ness, and I'm like, this, like, it's great. It's great to see he hasn't been forgotten. His efforts were not in vain, and people still to this day worldwide, people talk about him, which is great. I don't know if he ever could have envisioned that. I know he actually couldn't have, because I don't think. In fact, I've wondered a couple of times, like, what would he have done in the social media era? You know what I mean? I think he would have hated. I think he would have hated it so much.
Either that, or he'd be probably like on some hot boy shit. Just
that's actually interesting. I wonder.
Himself bombing and hitting up all the time.
Yo, I do love sometimes just imagining the man that John would have grown up to be. But for me, I think he wouldn't have wanted any of this shit that's going on, as far as social media and everything. Like, he was such a purist.
Probably wouldn't even have a phone, huh?
Probably not. No. Or maybe he'd have burners from time to time, whatever he could pick up. But like, and it was actually interesting too. He did have a phone. I was thinking about that like, I don't really remember how we would communicate to set up where we were going to meet and what we were going to do. But I'm sure he had a phone number at some point. But he was just kind of one of those guys that like was everywhere all the time on the street. And like, if anything was going down with any other writers, if it's like people hanging out at a bar, even though he didn't drink, like, he would be there. You know what I mean? And like, I miss him, man. I miss him for sure.
Yeah, so I asked these stories, whether it's Ty or Mac Dre or Tupac, because these people aren't here. So the people who knew them are the closest access we can get, and especially when someone's life is cut short under tragic circumstances, we should try to honor the legacy.
Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay. Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay.